people still come in as they can, but I'm going to go ahead and start the intro. I want to say welcome. It is super exciting to have all of you here today. I am very honored and grateful to introduce to you Will Lukang and Terry Olexyn. They are here and they are going to be presenting on successful aging, redefining retirement, and living with purpose. And this is something they have collaborated on together to deliver not only to you, but to other individuals as well. I love in their little description that they brought to me that they said that the goal is not to just add years to your life, but to add life to your years. So I think that's just a great way to segue into this session here. I'd like to let you know a little bit more about Terry. Terry knows retirement isn't an ending, it's a beginning. A retired finance executive turned certified professional retirement coach. He helps others reimagine life after work with purpose, connection, and clarity. After years as a VP of finance for the Canadian division of a global energy firm, Terry saw too many peers enter retirement with financial plans, but no roadmap for identity, meaning, or fulfillment. Inspired to fill the gap, he became a coach focused on the often overlooked emotional and social aspects of retirement and successful aging. Terry helps clients rediscover who they are beyond their business cards, guiding them to build lives rooted in well-being, relationships, and vitality. He's a strong believer and active in community service. He volunteers with the Bragg Creek Trail Associations, the Veterans Food Bank, and the Good Food Box. He's also contributed to advisory boards at the University of Alberta and Mount Royal University, championing a next generation of professionals. And then his partner in crime today is Will. And Will is a dynamic change agent and seasoned C-suite executive with deep expertise in leadership, dedicated servant leader, and Will believes true leadership and successful aging are rooted in purpose, self-awareness, and service to others. As a certified retirement coach, Will is passionate about helping individuals navigate life's next chapter with clarity, confidence, and intention. He works with professionals and retirees to redefine identity, align values, and design fulfilling post-career lives that honor both contribution and well-being. Will is the co-author of The Character-Based Leader and the award-winning author of Seeds of Leadership and Career Breakthrough Playbook. So if we could just give them a nice round of applause, we thank them for putting their time and energy into today's Educate and Enlighten webinar series. And without further ado, I'm going to go ahead and pass the microphone here to Will and Terry. Welcome, guys.
Amy, thank you very much for the opportunity. Looking forward to have a conversation with you. Terry, you want to start with an intro?
Well, thanks a lot for the introduction, Amy. Like Amy said, my name is Terry Olexyn, certified professional retirement coach. So I started up Peak Retirement Solutions in September of 2024, and it's been relatively successful. I'm very happy with where it's going. But most of all, I'm very much an advocate for healthy aging and healthy living, because with our health, I mean, the possibilities are absolutely unlimited. But without our health, I mean, we all know that, we can face a lot of challenges. And the thing I love about health or successful aging is the fact that it's science-based. This is not something that Terry Olexyn and Will Lukang made up. This is something that, there's research out there to confirm that, what we do with our lifestyle, the choices that we make can have a profound impact on how well we're going to live in our retirements and, in our later years. Will and I put together the presentation. It's designed to inform, to inspire, and to implement. We want to give you a lot of information on successful aging. We want to inspire you to make some healthy lifestyle changes. If you're not already, a lot of you, I know that you already prioritize health, but if you don't, there's so many benefits to doing so. And then just go out there and implement that. Prioritize that health and wellness plan. It can have a huge impact on the quality of our retirement years. So with that, I'm just going to turn it back to Will, and Will's going to kick us off.
Well, we'll cover today is a couple of things. The first one is, how do we define a successful retirement? How do we define successful aging? And often that's a more personal thing. There's this industry notion of what retirement looks like, but we want to talk about what is your definition of success. And in anything we do in life, I think the value plays an important role. And we want to talk about the values that you value, that you want to incorporate in your retirement. And then we're going to talk about the element of successful aging. What are the key elements that form parts of having a successful aging? And we'll talk about some of the successful aging tips. And last but not least, we'll round up with tools that could help you implement and plan your successful aging. At times when people talk about retirement, it's more on a destination. It's somewhere I'm gonna get to. I'm gonna do something later on. And we put a couple of pictures here that sort of depict what people aspiration would be. When I retire someday, I'm gonna be sitting out in the beach and looked out and enjoy the sunrise and the sunset. For some people, retirement is spending time with our loved ones. I think that's the only time we get to spend more time with our loved ones. And for other people, it might be just hanging out with my buddies and friends and doing nothing and chatting and catching up. But for other people, it's an opportunity to give back. It's an opportunity to share their gift to the world by mentoring, coaching people, and teaching classes. But there are also an opportunity for you to pick up something that you really want to do. The picture at the bottom where they're both in front of a laptop, they're both trying to learn something new. Retirement is an opportunity for us to reinvent, to invigorate our lifestyle and be able to actually pursue something we want to do. And for other, it might be just what we call meditating and relaxing. But then the true definition of successful retirement is a personal one. And there's this industry-wide notion of what retirement looks like. But we want to really talk about what, in your view, is a successful retirement. What are the things that you think are important to you as you plan your retirement? Because it's more of a personal thing. It's not one of those things that made up by other people, and we need to live up to that expectation. If you can share your thoughts, what would a successful retirement for you look like? If you could use the chat.
Feel free to raise your hand and just jump in
Yep.
and give us your thoughts on, what does successful retirement really look like to you?
Oh, Karen, go ahead.
Yeah, my values come up right away, so it's time with family, definitely giving back in my community. I have a wonderful church slash social justice group I've belonged to forever. And then creativity. I really enjoy reading literature and writing short stories, that kind of thing. And then friends and neighbors. I'm very social, and I'm also kind of on the fence as far as introvert, extrovert. So it's a lot about balance. Also, I really like the feeling I get after I exercise. So I have to be really intentional about getting some exercise. And it usually means getting that into my routine. So it's just, I don't miss out. And so I really appreciate your heads up on that, Terry, really prioritizing our health. And it's not easy for some of us.
Well, thank you, Karen, for sharing. I'm just reading a couple of the posts on the chat. Thank you for participating. Stuart says purpose, vision, life vision. Bill being the family with family and friends. Jane would be perpetual student online class. I love that. I'm the same way. And Douglas too, lifelong learning. Freedom to do the things I want because I put up because of work, staying engaged, spending time, and option to explore. And going back to Karen, before I think you brought up a very, very good point. Value is extremely important. So now we're going to pass it over to Terry to talk more about values.
Thank you very much, Will. So let's start with this quote from Roy Disney. And that's when your values are clear to you, your decisions become very easy. And when you think about aging, values play a huge role. And Karen, thanks for sharing that, because so many people just ignore their values and they're constantly off balance. But values can act as our compass that can help us navigate our decisions about time and health and relationships and purpose. If you can just take a second here, and if you can just write down your 3 to 5 top core values, and then if you don't mind, we'll take maybe 3 or 4. Just share with us, first off, what are your values and why are they important to you? All right, who wants to go? Who wants to start us off here? All right, go ahead, Stu. Stuart?
No.
You're muted, Stuart.
Okay. So there's a little bit, I don't have my list in front of me. I do have a list of values I carry around with me actually, just to indicate the importance of them. And I look at my values in the morning when I have my first cup of coffee and just kind of getting going. So values definitely are critical. A couple of them that are really important to me are creativity. All through my life, my work life, I've always tried to come up with new ideas in the world of sales and marketing and startups. And so I really love innovation. Learning, I've got several degrees and I just want to continue learning. And the last thing I was going to type out there was seeking purpose. I think as we go through these next stages, our purpose may change over time just because of instances that occur in our life or as we age or things happening. So just off the top of my head, the three that I came was creativity, learning, and seeking purpose constantly.
Excellent. Thanks, Stuart. Thank you. We'll take one more. Anybody else want to share their values and why they're important to you? I'll tell you, my top values are health, family, and friends, and honesty and integrity. I mean, those are things that I don't waver from, and I just think they're so important, and they really do help me guide and navigate a lot of decisions that I make in my lifetime. So how does that relate to successful aging? Well, I'm going to share two stories with you just to demonstrate how values can really affect the quality of your later years. I'm going to start out with friends of mine, Jim and Audrey. They're parents of an old high school friend. They've been friends of mine for 45 years. They are true role models. They value health and wellness. They value relationships. They value continuous learning, and they value each other. Jim and Audrey now in their 90s, and they still live on 5 acres. They still live in a house, a large house with stairs. They didn't go and have to go to a home that has one level. In fact, I think those stairs probably, keep them healthy. And they do a lot of that, the maintenance around their property on their own. They're 90 years old today. I just went to Audrey's 90th birthday in October. The result of some of these values and the lifestyle choices they made, they're healthy. They live meaningful, purposeful lives, and they're just true inspirations. Incredible. And then I've got another friend, a childhood friend, known for 50 years, David. David values instant gratification. He's a smoker. He's probably an excessive drinker. He gambles. He's an expert in negativity. And he's 64 years old and he looks like he's 80. And it's really, really sad because the result of his values are limited mobility, full of regrets, no social life, suffers from minor depression. So you can see how these, vastly different lifestyles, have turned out to vastly different outcomes. And the thing is, it's not the number of years that these folks have been on the earth. It's that has impacted the quality of their lives. It's the decisions that they've made. Now, I'm not naive. I mean, yes, there's underlying issues for a lot of people. And what we're talking about is just, that are people with, good mental health that, are physically capable of making good decisions. We're not, I've got 2 brothers that have MS. I mean, it doesn't matter, what decisions that they make, they're going to have, limited mobility issues. So we're talking about people that are, are mentally and physically capable of making these lifestyle decisions. So with that, let's talk about, let's look at how core values, how they play a major impact on healthy aging. If you understand what matters most to you, planning becomes that much clearer. So many people jump into retirement just focusing on activities and time management, but they don't really understand their values. When we go through that value exercise, and I asked you to write down your 3 to 5 values, it's really interesting. Those should come just like that. It shouldn't be something that we really need to think about, because if you have strong values, it can guide those decisions. But when we start with our values, decisions that we make on how we spend our time, who we spend it with, what we want to pursue, they all become aligned and just more fulfilling. So your values really do guide, these 3 major activities in our lives. And starting with activities, relationships, and purpose and meaning. So as far as activities go, our values should, really, the activities we choose should really reflect, what is meaningful to you. If it's health and wellness, creativity, Stuart said creativity, there's adventure, there's continuous learning, contribution, relaxation. You're going to pick values that are activities that are aligned with those values. So for example, if you if your one of your values is health and wellness, chances are you're going to choose activities that, maybe it's cycling, maybe it's swimming, maybe it's walking, maybe it's hiking, just practicing mindfulness. These are all things that should be aligned with your values. Relationships, here's another important one. I mean, your values are really going to influence the people that you connect with and the relationships that you want to nurture. And if it's family, then you're going to prioritize family gatherings, family dinners, that sort of thing. And then, of course, friendships. I mean, we don't want a homogeneous group of friends. I mean, we want, we can still have diverse group of friends, but, I'll give you an example. I mean, I've got, a very diverse group that, is economically diverse, professionally diverse. But one thing we do share is our core values. So, I mean, that really connects us. And it to me, it's really important to have that diverse group of friends. And then purpose and meaning. Our values can really determine, they can really clarify what gives us that life beyond work. Whether it's mentoring, whether it's volunteering, lifelong learning, or just simply being present. So when activities, relationships, and purpose and meaning are aligned with our values, retirement just becomes more intentional rather than accidental. So before we plan that next chapter, it's really, really important to pause and think about, what do we stand for? What's important, what's truly important to us? Because, that's what's going to form that foundation that we can build that next chapter upon. So let's shift gears a little bit and let's talk about aging. And I love this quote by Joseph Rain, and that's, aging is inevitable, but growing old is a choice. It's a wonderful quote because it really highlights this powerful distinction between aging and between growing old. Aging is a biological process. That's not, it happens to every one of us, as time passes. Lifestyle decisions, however, can have a profound impact on how we age. And growing old, well, that's a mindset. Growing old is really optional. I mean, it's about how we choose to live, how we choose to think, and how we choose to engage with life as we age. I think we all know people that are in their 70s and 80s that they just radiate energy and they're full of curiosity and they're full of joy. And then we know people that are much, much younger and, they feel old and they feel defeated. So the empowering part is the fact that we can't stop the clock, the chronological clock, but we can control how we age and how we live each day. So staying active, learning, learning new skills or nurturing relationships and just simply finding that purpose. That's what keeps us vibrant. And then mindset plays such a big role and is so important when we retire because now we have the freedom to go out there and determine, how we want to age. This really plays into that, ties in nicely with the concept of healthy aging. I mean, we taking charge of our mental, our emotional, and our physical well-being, rather than letting age define us. So as retirement coaches, and I believe all of us are retirement coaches on this line, I mean, our goal should be to help individuals make those healthy choices that can really have a profound impact on their retirement years. And I think it's also important that we start with helping leading by example and going out there and making health and wellness a priority for ourselves. So let's talk about successful aging. Successful aging it became very, very popular concept in the 90s when John Roll and Robert Kahn published their book, Successful Aging. It played a pivotal role in changing that stigma around old age. It helped move that conversation from disease and decline to, the positive aspects of growing old. Aging, as we mentioned, it's inevitable, but how we age is a choice. To a large extent, as I mentioned, there are some people that unfortunately do have illnesses and disease that limit them, but for most of it, it is a choice. So it's not just adding years to life, it's about adding quality years. So what's the difference between age span and health span? Well, age span is how long we live. Health span is how long we live in good health, how long we stay healthy and vibrant. Far too often, I mean, people live these lives that are burdened with illness and pain and limitations. But a lot of this can be avoided through lifestyle. Our mission is really quite simple. It's just to narrow that gap between the age span and the health span. So just imagine a future where you stay energetic, independent, and fully engaged well into those later years of our lives. Because that's what successful aging really does look like. So each of us has this opportunity to shape the future through the right mindset, through habits, through actions. And we can thrive, not just merely survive in our later years. So we're going to go to the next slide here. Successful aging. I mean, this slide, it really brings our vision of successful aging to life. It really, it's not about living longer, it's about living better. And our goal is really to be able to stay healthy, independent, and active for as long as possible. And that means minimizing that time that we spend in that period of frailty and illness at the end of life. And I love this the images on this particular slide, because they really do tell a powerful story. If you look at the far left, we see these people of all ages, and they're dancing in the streets. They're full of life, they're full of energy, they're full of joy. Movement and community are just such a key to healthy aging. And in the center, we see this woman, and she's got this pure joy on her face, swimming in a lake, presumably quite cold, but yet that doesn't bother her. But that's vitality, and that's freedom. And then on the right, we see these gentlemen that are, looks like they're post-race. They're laughing together. This is just proof that, that age is not a barrier to strength and to camaraderie or purpose, for that matter. So this is really what successful aging looks like. And it's possible for more people than we think. But the thing about successful aging is it doesn't happen by accident. It truly happens by the choices that we make every day. So, how we move, what we eat, and what we feed our brains, how we connect with others, how we care for, our mental and emotional well-being, all very, very important. So successful aging, it isn't a distant dream. It's something that we can start right now. And I think this is an important concept that I want to drive home as well, is the fact that it doesn't matter what we've done up until now. I mean, we might have been, maybe we weren't so kind to our bodies. Maybe we've fallen out of shape because we were too busy to work out or to look after ourselves while we were building our careers. But retirement gives us that freedom to start now, and small steps can really compound. So I'm going to turn it back to Will, and Will's going to share how we can take, what steps we can take to live longer and healthier and more meaningful lives.
Thank you, Terry. I want to cover the 4 elements of successful aging. And I want to put a disclaimer: before you do something, please consult your doctor or physician to make sure that it's the right actions for you. There are 4 key elements in successful aging. The first one is nutrition. And as Terry said before, it doesn't matter what happened before, but what would you do starting today? What are the things you could implement starting today? What are the choices we could make? I for one, wasn't a healthy eater a few years ago. I don't like vegetable. My wife always asked me to eat vegetable, but I decided at some point I need to have vegetable in my diet, and I started eating more vegetable, eating more fruits. And I think it's important to decide when, at some point, you want to actually focus on successful aging and improving your health span. Nutrition is a key component of it, and anything you put in your body matters. The second thing is sleep, and it's really interesting because over throughout my career in the corporate, the one thing that I trade for my career was sleep. I sleep less to do more stuff, and I did that over and over. It's like trading cards, but it's trading cards that you're losing and not winning in the end. But once I realized that sleeping is one of the more important pillar of successful aging, I focus more on sleeping. I used to sleep 4.5 hours. I worked on getting to 5. Now I'm up to 6 hours. To me, in 3 years, that's a significant progress because I made the decision that I want to prioritize rest, and I want to create a routine. So I go to bed at the same time every night and try to get up at the same time every day, even in it's weekend, because I think it's important to get the rest that you needed. And sleep is where your brain do the garbage collection. And it's really important. Nutrition, what you put in your body matters. Sleep, rest is important. And then the next one is activity. And when we talk about activity, we're not talking about doing marathon, cycling, and things like that. They're sometimes a bit more extreme. find something that you enjoy with your loved ones, your family, with your friends. Do something like maybe like a 5 minute walk first, maybe make it to 10. Maybe you just want to go hiking. If you don't want to just walk, go hiking with your friends and family. Pick an activity that you love to do and enjoy. I think that's the key to it. And don't make I think the key to it too is on activity that I learned is when you schedule it, it becomes a part of what you do. When you don't, I feel like when you don't schedule something, you don't do it because you forget about it, you didn't remember it, something comes up. Of course, there are instances in our life where things are more important, but on a regular basis, if it's scheduled, it's on your calendar. Oh, I need to take a break from doing this work right now. And I think it's important to really schedule because I find that to be effective for me when I start scheduling them. It's like scheduling my me time. Like on Sunday, I do my self reflection. I schedule that on my calendar. And when I see that time about to come, I make sure I spend 30 minutes by myself reflecting on how the week went. And it really helps me because now I don't need to like purpose like, oh, I need to do that. I need to do that. Like I wake up in the morning, once I go through my routine, I look at my calendar. Here's what I need to do today. And the last component, which I think is extremely important, as we as human are need to have a community of people we surround ourselves. We need to think about the people that we want to be around when we start focusing on retirement. And when we talk about people that we want around, we want people who energize us when we actually are with them. We want to avoid people who actually take energy out of us whenever we're around them. Choose the people that you want to surround yourselves. It's really important for you to actually think about that because the more intentional that you think about that, the more important that you, and it also scheduling is a part of it. And I find it really helpful where I said, I need to talk to this person because I haven't spoken to them in a month. I need to talk to this person. And I put them in my calendar. In fact, yesterday I talked to two people I haven't spoken to like 2 months. And I checked in with them and to see how they're doing. So I think scheduling is one suggestion I would say as you identify your activities and your relationship that you want to foster or strengthen. I would say strengthen because as we were busy with our work, our children and family, we put a lot of things on the back burner. Like friends, sometimes we don't even get in touch with them and years goes by and then we see them in our reunion or some event. If they're really important to you, take the time to actually check in with them. You don't need to really sit with them or have dinner or lunch, but at least check in with them. I think it's important, especially nowadays where sometimes people get lonely. It's important to just check in with your friends and say, how you doing? Do you need anything from me? So I think relationship is the last component that I want to highlight. And Amy just wrote, we don't plan, we don't, if we don't plan, we fail because we fail to plan. I think that's extremely important. And also personal inventory, according to Bill, if you have a personal inventory worksheet, I think that's also very important. When you retire, even now, avoid energy bonfire. People like situation or event or people that you're around, and all of a sudden, boom, it sucked your energy out of you. I think about those that you want to be mindful about. So this way, you're focusing with an intentional approach to actually better your health span. Next, I want to talk about what are the key components for successful aging. We talk about staying physical active, and these are things that you could do like brisk walk or maybe cycling is something you want to do, get on a Peloton, go to the gym. But like I said, always consult your physician. It's important to make sure that you're physically fit and ready for it. We talk about eating a balanced diet, and that depends on what green leafy vegetable, fruits, and things like that, and keeping your mind sharp. I think meditation, doing Sudoku, and things are things that really help you, like crossword puzzle, or just engaging people with a meaningful conversation. I think that sometimes is what we forgot to do is when we're talking to people, we're having a healthy conversation and have healthy debate. That's also very helpful. A nurturing social connection. I think this is the one that I think people should start planning even way before you retire. Who are the people I want to be in touch with? Because when you're working, you're the most important thing in your work at times. You're like the most important person in your group, in your department. Everyone comes to you every day. In fact, you don't have enough time to give people. I think you're the most important person, so you don't have the time to give to people. And then when you go to retirement, you're the one who have plenty of time and you think people are going to come to you. You need to schedule and identify who are the people you want to be around and schedule those activities like with the family and friends, like going out to lunch, going out to dinner, going hiking and things like that. I think it's important to do that. Manage your stress and emotion. I think that's one of the things that really crucial in having a healthy a health span is managing your stress. What are things that trigger you and understanding why they trigger you, and because when you know that it triggers you, you then could do something about it. But sometimes it fell into a situation where something happened and all of a sudden we're like we're really affected. If we understand what triggers us, then we could then make appropriate response and not reacting to situation. And last but not least, planning is your best friend, right? I think Amy alluded to that. If you fail to plan, you really want you would really fail. So I think planning for the future is extremely important. Then now let's talk about the tools. What are the tools that you have? People sometimes, when I talk to them about starting an activity, they're like, oh, I don't know how to start it. I would say go to a gym, seek a coach in the gym, just like we have career coach, executive coach. Seek a coach in the gym and ask for advice how to do things. Don't just do things on your own. However, I know a lot of people have a lot of friends that are doing certain things. They're expert in their respective area that they're really their hobby. So you could have a conversation with them too, but seek someone who knows something about the activity that you want to get into. Explore a variety of activity. If you live in a seasonal environment like me, I'm in New Jersey. Explore activities related to the season. Summer, you more outdoor. Fall, you could do hiking. Winter, I think you just, sometimes you go out for a walk when there's no snow. If there's snowstorm, you can go out. But I think about seasonal activity. And the next thing I really want to highlight, we talked about this a little bit before, practice mindfulness and meditation. I think that's really is important as you progress in your journey is what are things I want to do that really helps calm me down, centered me, and practice meditation if you want to. It's 5 minutes. I do that every so often throughout the week and I'm feeling overwhelmed and things like that. And last but not the least, as you approach retirement, this is an opportunity to challenge and reinvent yourself. There are things we couldn't do when we first got married. We have children. We're so busy with our children, like especially myself, my wife, and I. Now our kids are in college and grad school, but when they were in high school, we travel every day of the week and every weekend for soccer and golf. And we really didn't have any time to do anything else. Therefore, you sacrifice so much of your time. Now is the time to explore the things that you want to do. You want to play some musical instrument, you want to do ballroom dancing. These are the moment to plan. So this way you know where to go, who to approach and reach out to. And also maybe growth opportunity, including teaching a class. You're an expert in financial planning. You want to teach people about financial literacy. You could do that. It's an opportunity for you to give back to the community or mentor someone. I think at times that's something that's really available to people that are retiring is mentoring. I think giving back to the community extremely gratifying and rewarding because you see people grow and develop. And last but not the least, like I said before, if you're starting something strenuous and physical, look for a coach. Seek a friend who's actually doing it for a long time. Ask for their advice, ask for their feedback, or maybe a guidance, or maybe say, if you're going for a run, can I go jog with you? Can you jog with me for like a mile? Let me see if I could do it. Or can we just walk a mile? Let's start with walking a mile. I think start something more small and build upon that one. I want to hand it back to Terry. Talk about mindset.
Thank you very much, Will. And okay, this is something that you've all seen. This is part of your retirement coaches training. And this is something that is so important when it comes to aging, and that mindset really does matter. I love this quote by Steve Marabella, and that's once the mindset changes, everything on the outside changes with it. And it is so true. So when you think about aging, let's contrast the traditional view of aging versus the modern day view of aging. I mean, traditionally, the mindset was focused on decline, detachment, despair, depression, and even death. I mean, just saying those words brings you down. It sounds like an end. It doesn't sound like a new beginning. So, let's dive in a little bit. So decline, I mean, what we're really talking about is that physical and cognitive decline. Detachment is when we, start withdrawing socially and we start, withdrawing from the activities that we used to do. And then there's that despair, it's just that hopelessness about the future. And then depression, I mean, it's when, that sadness seeps in and we can't find that motivation to do the things that we want to do. And then, of course, there's death. I mean, this is just such a negative outlook on aging. And, think about this for a second. I mean, we all know that, we can conceivably live 20 to 30 years in retirement. That could be a quarter to a third of our lives. Why wouldn't we see this next chapter as a new beginning with unlimited possibilities? So let's switch over to the modern view of aging, and that's the R mindset. It's renewal, it's rewiring, it's reinventing, reinvigorating, and revolutionizing. Like these are all, just saying these words, it brings you up. It is so positive. So when we talk about renewal, we're talking about, it's a fresh start. It's a chance to go out there and, we have the freedom to do what we want to do. What's important to us? Start with your values. And then when we talk about rewiring, it's really, sometimes we have to change our beliefs. We have to change our thought patterns. We have to change our habits. Sometimes we even have to change our friends. And then there's reinventing. It's going out there, trying something new. What if you always wanted to learn, but just didn't think that you had time for? And then revolutionizing, it's going out there and just changing that narrative about how society views aging. And then, of course, reinvigorating, it's just approaching each day with that energy, that enthusiasm. Just go out there and, make it positive. So these are very, very contrasting views of aging. And by adopting, we can, retirees, we can transform what is often seen as an ending into a period of a new beginning, of excitement, of possibility, and personal growth. So with that, I want to move on to this next slide. Is open up your mind to possibilities. Aging isn't about winding down. It's about waking up. It's about, waking up to everything that life has to offer. Each year is not a countdown. It's a build up to, to wisdom, to freedom, and to opportunity. Try a new sport, travel to somewhere that you've never traveled before if that's important to you. Pick up a paintbrush. Go out there and just simply say yes to something that is unfamiliar. Again, possibilities can be unlimited. Don't shrink your world as we age, expand it. I mean, this is, again, we all had to put things on the shelf, maybe because we were raising children, building careers. We were too busy. Things were too uncertain. Maybe we thought it was too late. But now it's the perfect time to pick up, the things that interest you, things that you've always wanted to do. We're time affluent. We can do that. So aging is really not about closing doors. It's about opening new ones that are, are going to give you that stronger sense of self. So go ahead and open your mind to the possibility because, the future could be, full of new firsts. So I want to switch gears a little bit here and talk about, the modern retirement thinking because, retirees are continuously reinventing themselves today. So we go out there, we stay curious. We can rediscover those things that really do excite us. What if you always wanted to learn? Staying curious really keeps our mind sharp. It keeps our spirit engaged. And it really is the spark that keeps our life vibrant. Again, like I said, so many of us had to put things on the shelf when we were raising kids, building careers, and now we have the time to do it. So find an interest and then go out there and educate yourself. Educate yourself by, taking a course, reading a book, joining a group, or simply exploring. Lifelong learning really does builds confidence, it builds flexibility, it gives us purpose. And at this stage, it's not about achievement, it's about growth and just that joy of the process. Why? Because we're not forced to learn anything in our retirement. We have the freedom to choose things that are very much aligned with our values and stuff that really excites us. So, and there's never been a better time to learn than today. Just think about this for 1 second. We used to have to pick up the phone, register for a course after the course calendar came out. Chances are that, it could be full, so you had to wait 3 months before you could do it again. And, if you did happen to get in, then you'd have to drive yourself to some physical location. You had to sit in the classroom for 3 to 4 hours, and you do this, once a week for maybe 6 or 8 weeks. Wow, that was inconvenient, but we still did it because it was important to us. And today, though, I mean, all we have to do is go down to our computers, flip the switch, and next thing you know, you've got access to all kinds of learning platforms, online learning platforms. Some are free, some are, some you pay for. But the reality is it's just so simple. We can learn from the comfort of our own home. So now we found an interest, we educate ourselves. Now it's time to live it out. Go dive deeper. And just use this knowledge to go out there and create, to volunteer, to simply share the knowledge with others. I mean, application really does transform learning into fulfillment. And this is what keeps us meaningfully connected to the world. I know a lot of my clients, and myself included, a lot of friends, one of our biggest fears about retirement is the fact that we could become irrelevant. And that's not where we want to be. I mean, there's a lot going on around us today. I mean, think about AI. It's going to affect everybody's life. So, to stay relevant, we don't have to be experts, but we at least have to know how that's going to impact our life. So, last thought on this is that reinvention is not a one-time thing. It's a way of life. And, so go out there, stay interested, keep learning, keep applying. And that's going to create that retirement that's, really rich with purpose and energy and possibility. So let's shift gears again here to chronological aging versus biological aging, because this is so important. Chronological aging is simple. It's just how many years that since we were born. But what's really important here is that, the fact that it doesn't tell the whole story. Biological aging is so important because it's a reflection on how well our bodies are really functioning. It's influenced by lifestyles, by habits, by mindset, by environment that we've created. Two people can have the exact same chronological age, but can have vastly different biological ages. And, I mean, it really comes down to how well we've taken care of our bodies. When you look at this image, I absolutely love it because it's this old man. He's looking back, looking in the mirror. He sees this younger guy. You're looking back at him, and that's what he sees. It's not denial. That has nothing to do with denial. That's how he feels because he's kept his mind sharp. He's, kept his body well. And it's just a reminder that our bodies can age, but our spirit and our purpose and our potential, they're ageless. So don't let age put that limitations on the possibilities that are out there. And the truth is, we have way more control over how we age than most people think. So through movement, through nutrition, like Will said, stress management, purpose connection, all of these are just critical to healthy aging. And we can't stop that chronological clock, but we sure can determine how we're going to live in our older age. All right, so we're just going to move to the next slide here. And why does biological age really matter? Well, it's a better predictor of health, vitality, and longevity. Chronological age tells us how long we've been on this earth, but biological age really tells us how well we're aging. And that is really, really important. So the other thing is it can be improved with positive lifestyle changes. I'm not going to beat this to death. We've already talked about it. And hopefully we're driving that message home. And it's very useful for retirement planning. How we feel can really determine the activities and, how well we're going to be there for our children and our grandchildren. So rather than basing our goals on how long we've been on this planet, base it on how well you feel, how good you feel. So bottom line is, don't let your, the date on your ID define your potential. Focus on those habits that are going to improve your biological age. And good news is not only can we improve our biological age, but in a lot of cases we can actually reverse it. So, this is important because, again, like I said, it doesn't matter what we've done up until now. We can adopt healthy habits at any point in our lives. And it's really going to benefit us going forward. So with that, I'm going to turn it back to Will. We are running out of time, so my apologies. But Will, take it away, and he's going to close out for us here.
Thank you. As Terry mentioned before, focusing on the R mindset is very rewarding. When we focus on what we could do, we achieve more. And therefore, we end up with having time affluent. And that's really a very important thing to think about. When we look at our journey to retirement, there's really three stages. We have the go-go stage where we're very active. We could do a lot of things. When we make the right choices and decision that we can during our preparation and our retirement, our go-go stage goes long because we do the things that are helping us, nourishing us, and we could continue to be active. Our goal is to lengthen our go-go stage. And maybe slow go is a short period and no go at that point, it's very, very short. The key to this message for this particular slide is to shift to our mindset and you end up thinking about reinventing, reinvigorating yourself. That gives you more reward and more opportunity to do the things that you could do. And therefore, you will lengthen your go-go stage and your health span become a lot longer. We're not saying it's going to happen, but there are things that you could do to make it happen. And if we take action right now, and the best time to do it is today. Today is the best time to take that action to make your go-go phase of your retirement a lot longer and enjoying the things that you love to do. And last but not the least, I want to leave this particular image with you. We all have a number with us, our age, but we don't feel like the number. And there's certain choice we could make today that could enable us to feel a lot younger, to lengthen our health span, to get more enjoying out of it. What we're trying to say with successful aging is not being denial that we're at certain age. I'm at 58 years old. I'm not in denial at 58, but I could feel like at 55 or 53. I think that's the goal. Make the choices that helps you get to where you need to be. Focus on the R mindset that allows you to reinvent, reinvigorate, and do things that you have not done before. And then at the end of the day, when you do all the things that you want to do, imagine the impact, the lasting impact you could have to the people that you affected or interacted for the rest of the time that you have. Not only did you have a good health span, you have a more enjoyment, you have more fulfilling retirement. And that's really ultimately is what our message. Thank you for your time and really appreciate your opportunity to present to you today. We're opening to Q&A. We have the first question from Amy way back. Value. Are there any exercise or tools that they could use to identify their values?
I put it in the chat. I put my response in the chat, and my response was this: is just find a quiet place and ponder what's important to you. I mean, what makes you feel great? Like what activities, when you engage these activities, or you're around certain people and they get you in that state of flow. What is it about those activities and the people that, and then chances are they're aligned with your values. So work backwards, kind of reverse engineer. How are you going to come up with your values? Well, why is it that you feel so great when you're around certain people and you're doing certain activities? So what are those? And that I believe is going to reveal those underlying values that are important to you.
Anybody else have any questions? If you want to raise your hand, that way you can talk. And we had lots of stuff going on in the chat box just about ideas and thoughts as we were moving along. If you raise your hand, you pop up.
Just thoughts, what inspire you? What's one takeaway?
Yeah, so I kind of have a question, or what your experience is. Well, first off, one thing that some clients that I have really realize once they go into retirement or they've left their job, they don't have the same friends. They don't have their same networking. And I was visiting with somebody who goes, "My gosh, I have all these great friends, and now they're gone. It's like they just disappeared as soon as I left my company." And that got them depressed and so forth. I guess my question would be, you bring up a lot of great points today. It's like, how do you get people and create the I gotta do, earlier versus later, right? We all work with retirement. We got to have millions of dollars to be able to retire and have a good time. And then when they get into retirement, oh, I'm golfing all the time. I'm getting kind of bored of golfing, right? What can I, you know, what are kind of your experiences in terms of how to get them going sooner versus later, right? I do retirement coaching and I also do career coaching. And part of the career coaching, I think what you want to do in retirement, right? So, I mean, what's your experience?
Excellent question, Bill. What I do with my client is I have them go through the exercise of identifying the relationship bucket of the component. I ask them to identify the people that they want to spend time with, like their family and friends, number one, right? Number two, their close friends, and they list it down. They list down who are the people, and they identify how would they stay connected with them, and then create a plan, right? I think planning is our best friend. If they wrote down the first bucket family, who they're gonna meet, when they're gonna meet, what event they're gonna host, and then they do the same thing with their immediate friends, when they're gonna meet, how is he gonna do that, how is he gonna organize. And the beauty of our age where technology is so prevalent, we could text people, we could chat people, we could message people, we could message many people in one chat. And I think using those technology to their advantage in calendar scheduling is very important, because if they start scheduling all of this and even like a quick meetup or a quick Zoom call with friends, I think all those friends would get used to those schedule. Let's meet up once every quarter, once every 2 months, and everyone becomes used to that schedule. I have a friend that I actually asked him to do. He said, I don't know how to stay in touch with my friends. I said, you all wake up early in the morning. Why don't you get a 6:30 call every Friday morning? And they've been doing that now for a couple of months. And they said everyone looks forward to it. There are times you jump in, there's 8 people. There are times you jump in, there's only 2 of you. Well, it's an opportunity for you to catch up with one another. I think it's a lot. It's planning, bucket A, immediate, most important, secondary, and tertiary, and then scheduling them according to their importance. Because if you don't schedule your social life before you retire, it's going to be hard, because we expect people to call us, but they're all still busy. They still have their family, their children's. And so we need to make an effort. So a lot is on us to really do the planning. Terry, how about you?
Yeah, in the interest of time, I'll just make this brief. But Bill, I think for me, it's bringing awareness to your clients early, right?
Yeah.
So it's bringing awareness. We talk about the non-financial elements of retirement, and when we talk about those non-financial elements, that brings that awareness. Tell me one person that you know that really understands that retirement's going to be tough. They think it's a magic pill. So, they don't know until they hit retirement, a lot of these people, that these non-financial elements exist. So, it's bringing awareness at a very early stages of retirement planning. And like Will says, planning, planning, planning. But I think it's bringing awareness. I think we have two more questions. So go ahead, Amy.
I see Anne's hand is up, so Anne will take your
Yeah.
question.
So a lot of the folks that I'm working with, they leave their jobs, and then all of a sudden their whole life fills in with all these activities because they're experimenting, which is great, but then they're not letting go. For instance, everybody thinks they're available, so they become full-time grandparents and not maybe doing exactly what they want. So how would you advise people to prioritize and figure out what they need to focus on and what to let go and how to let go of it?
I talk to my client about is boundaries. It's okay to set boundaries. When I'm retired, I'm not 24/7 available. Let's make an effort to schedule with your children when I could be available to do things for you, and when at the time I'm not available. By setting boundary, it creates that environment where people don't just expect you. And it's don't feel bad too. Like a couple of my clients, like, but if I tell that to them, that means I'm not available. Well, you're really not available. You're really spending time for yourself. So prioritizing your health and well-being, it's important. Otherwise, you're gonna be living for other people's expectation. Go ahead, Terry.
Yeah, and just to add to that, boundaries and values. So start with your values, and it's going to help you set your boundaries. So if you understand, all comes back to the boundaries, or sorry, the values, where that if you're not enjoying it and it's completely unaligned, then don't do it. It takes a lot of effort, I guess, or it can be awkward to say no, but yeah. All right.
Great,
Sorry
guys.
about that, guys.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Yeah, go ahead and close this out. I'm going to go ahead and stop the recording. I just want to say thank you to Will and Terry for an excellent presentation today. And also just want to say thank you to all of you for attending.